Hello, my name is Adriana Schrader, and today I have the opportunity to bear arms against misinformation about ADHD while breaking down a complex topic from cognitive psychology. So, without further ado, let's dive into divided and selected attention in ADHD. So, the topic I will be breaking down is the contrast between selective attention and divided attention, which are the main types that are discussed among the literature. So, let's start with what exactly those are. Now, selective attention is the one that we are taught the most in school. It is where you really just gotta buckle down and hone in on this one thing, give it your all, and ignore everything else around you. So, definitively, that would be the ability to select what you want to focus on between competing stimuli and attend to just that one thing. Kind of like tunnel vision. And it has beneficial effects. So, in doing so, you're avoiding distraction and that means the only thing you have to give your full energy and attention to and your full focus is that one task in front of you. So you're able to do it a lot faster and you're usually able to do it with more accuracy because there's no conflicting information going on. Divided attention is what we more commonly know as multitasking, which is the ability to process and react to multiple stimuli at the same time. And this has kind of been debunked a bit in literature where you're not actually attending to two different things at the same time. It's relying either on muscle memory or you're switching between them rapidly. However, it's still something that is processed differently in the brain than selective attention. And it's like when you listen to music while you're doing your homework. It's these stimuli are constantly at war with each other and you're actively choosing between them over and over again. And the effects of this are inherently more negative. Your attention is split between the two, and you don't have your full focus on either task. So, to better exemplify some of the effects of the different types of attention, this meme kept coming to mind because they're clearly doing a task where they're just trying to have a moment with each other, walking down the street. Um, with selective attention, she's fully in the moment and holding his hand and trying to engage with him, whereas he's not really meeting her there on the same level of attention because he has half of his attention onto a distraction of another person who walked by. And you can see he's still trying to maintain the original moment with the other girl because he's still holding her hand, he's still walking forward. However, the other half of him is trying to engage with a distraction, and it's just not really working for him. So the overall conclusion in literature is that multitasking doesn't really work as effectively as selective attention does. Selective attention will lead to better results with better accuracy, better time management, and we're not able to attend to multiple stimuli to the same degree with the same dedication and the same thoroughness as we are able to attend to one. And these are just a couple examples of literature that support that. What about when the ability to engage selective attention is compromised, though? That is what the case is with ADHD. First things first, the term ADHD is actually a bit of a misnomer. It's not actually that ADHD people have a lack of attention, as the name implies, but rather that they have difficulty regulating it, which is the key factor in selective attention. So selective attention seems like the best option on paper. It seems like the best in a comparison and has the best benefits. The literature is against multitasking. However, that's not exactly practical because not all brains are built that way. The dysregulation with attention that comes from ADHD, that's affected by multiple factors in ADHD that make the ability to adequately control and sustain focus on a singular selected task very difficult. People with ADHD are well noted to have issues with executive dysfunction, which can have influential effects like decision paralysis, where it becomes extremely difficult and more taxing to choose between options, like what to attend to, and poor prioritization, which makes it hard to weigh options against one another, impulsivity, where the choices might be made before it's thought through, and then you need to change direction at some point, and also on the difficulty to prioritize all new stimuli is going to be weight is the exact same weight as what you're currently doing. So your brain is going to constantly have to check that and make sure that's not what you actually should be doing over what you're currently choosing to do. And it becomes harder and harder to ignore as it goes on, and you're just getting this constant barrage of other information that you're going to have to attend to because your brain isn't sorting it correctly and processing it the same way. So instead of saying you should do selective attention better, instead of trying to provide better ways for other people to do selective attention and utilize that skill, sometimes you just got to roll with it and learn how to accommodate divided attention. So a good example of what this would look like is that clip from Family Guy where Stewie's just repeating mom, mom, mommy, ma over and over again. I have it embedded in here, but I have not got it to work properly, so we're just going to leave that alone right now. But it was a pretty popular clip. If you don't know it, look it up on YouTube. But that's a very good example of what it feels like to constantly have this barrage of stimuli when you're just trying to relax and take a nap, or you're just trying to do something else. And eventually it keeps nagging you, and then you're going to get distracted and go focus on that, and that takes you out of what you're currently doing. And so it's not always feasible, though, to implement a strategy that is remove the child. That's why I like this analogy, because that does not make sense. A mother would never do that. And you can't just try to quiet a part of your brain that's a fundamental part of who you are. It's a fundamental part of how you're processing your information, how you're perceiving your world. And so instead, sometimes the best thing to do is learn to cope with it. Sometimes the best thing to do is facilitate better ways for that to be more effective. And so instead, maybe get the kid an iPad. I don't know. Maybe put them in front of a TV. Maybe give them their own nap while you can take some time for yourself to focus on what you want to do. So the whole point of this video was to teach about the difference between divided attention and selective attention, but also to show that what one person's chosen tactic is and what is considered most optimal to the majority is not a universal concept. Even if it doesn't seem like the most optimal on paper, we need to respect people's autonomy and ability to choose what's best for them, especially as a community. Just because it doesn't line up with our perspective does not mean that it's wrong. And it does not mean that it's inferior. Accommodations should be to help facilitate their method of handling their abilities and their coping skills rather than what we think those need to be.